The following is an Operation Podcast production.
I got really into their work a couple years ago when I was told by a healer that I am a Pleiadian. I was like, what's a Pleiadian? What does this mean? This sounds weird. And then I just trusted in my body that she was accurate. And it sent me on this deep, deep path of learning them, studying them, communing with them, communicating with them. And what I've done with the light work is taken pieces of their teachings and incorporated it into each chapter so that the everyday woman who's never even heard of a Pleiadian doesn't even believe in it. And to understand light as how I define it as the author. But one of their core principles of the entire volume of text that I've learned from them for years is the concept that thought is and thought creates.
Mm-hmm. That's beautiful.
Thoughts are a real thing. They exist in the world the way this water bottle and microphone exists. Like they are energy frequencies. Resonance, exactly. Right. That when we start to connect with them and tap in, we can tap into the greater field of consciousness.
It's not just this magical spell. It's a creation of the magic of your life. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Look at Me Now, Season 2. I am psyched to kick this one off with a bang. My first guest is Jessica Zweig. She is a multi-seven-figure serial entrepreneur. She is an author. She is a podcaster. She is a coach and a mentor and a teacher and a speaker, and she is truly a phenomenon of a human being. She has a new book coming out called The Light Work, and I can't wait for you to hear this conversation. Hey y'all, I'm so excited to announce my partnership with Timeline Nutrition. As you know, I am a cancer survivor and I am always looking for any edge for longevity and wellness. And this Swiss life science company has spent 10 years in research and development, infusing their products with urolithin A, which is a mitochondrial function improver. Their MitoPure is my favorite of their products, but every one of their products is infused with this magical urolithin A, which improves cellular energy, muscle strength, endurance, decreases inflammation, and ultimately removes the damage in your mitochondrial cells. This is magic in a box. Please go to www.timelinenutrition.com/LAMN10 to get your discount on these life-saving, life-changing products. Are you ready for a wild ride? I'm Alexis Artin, and I invite you to strap in because this is more than a podcast. This is Look at Me Now. The person sitting across from me, Jessica Zweig, is first. Let me just do the resume part of this, people. Okay. So she is a multi-seven-figure serial entrepreneur. She is an author. She is a podcaster. She is a business coach and a teacher and a mentor and a consultant. She leads retreats. Superwoman is sitting across from me. And not only that, but I actually happen to know her because I've worked with her in the past. I've been a recipient of her genius when it comes to business. And not only is she the real deal when it comes to what she offers the world in terms of her gifts, plural, but she is pure light embodied. And I mean, like I'm sitting across from her and I'm like, light! Like so bright and shiny, like from the inside out, really. Just salt of the earth human who deserves every little bit of success. And that's just me fangirling a little bit.
Make me cry.
Yeah, well, you deserve it. And anyway, I'm so honored to have her here today. Thank you for being here. Hello.
Thank you for having me. I'm honored to be on your beautiful platform. I loved you since the second I met you. I think you are pure light. I think the medicine that you're giving to women is so necessary at this time.
Agreed.
And I am like stars just keep aligning. My word for the year is alignment. I want to be in spaces on podcasts and community with like-minded women. And when you were like, come on my show, I was like, well, this is what I was asking for. This is what I'm calling in.
This is
full
it.
body yes. So thank you for
Absolutely.
having me.
I found myself like falling into saying the word, let's fucking go, that phrase. I just keep saying it over and over and over again. And that's how it feels to have you here. So
Thank you.
So let's fucking go.
Let's fucking go.
So we were talking before the podcast and just sort of setting the stage of that we're going to look back first. Yeah. And that's typically what we do here. And I really want to know what it was like to be little Jessica. What it was like to be little Jessica. Like looking back from the successful powerhouse that you are now with all the remembering that you have been doing, which we will get into, people, just about how powerful she is as a human being. What is your awareness of that now as you reflect back on who you were as a little girl?
It's so funny, and it's not funny. It's amazing and sort of hard to analyze and take in at times when people reflect what you just reflected and try to connect it to when I was a little girl, because I wasn't just born feeling confident. I don't really know. I mean, I do know through a lot of hard, dark nights of the soul did I find my light and come out on the other side to where I am today professionally. But I was definitely born a starseed in a very, affluent community. My parents were self-made people. Every single family in my hometown seemed to have a perfect life, big houses, big and fancy cars, like Chanel bags at 13 years old. And my parents were modest people. And I write about this in my book very openly. They were very loving, my family. My parents were beautiful parents on many levels, but they were also very dysfunctional. And there was a lot of trauma in my household. And I remember my mom telling me, reflecting to me, that when I was a little girl, my friends would come over to play with me, and we'd go downstairs to the basement, and my friend would come up to find my mom and be like, Jessica doesn't want to play with me. Like, what should I do? Because I just wanted to be alone. I've always really been an introvert, even though I play an extrovert really well on Instagram and like TV. I need my solitude. And so I kind of was born sensitive and emo and like internalized. And then from about age 9 to like 22, I'm not kidding, I hit my gawky phase. Like I got horrible acne. I gained big puffy baby fat pounds. I had frizzy hair. My mom had, God bless her heart, she would like brush out my curls before I'd go to school and it would frizz. The boys were ruthless. The girls were meaner. And I really didn't have a clique. I didn't have a group of friends. I was a C student. I sort of like hid in the wallpaper. Like I wasn't a cool girl. I floated. It really wasn't until I found the theater. Like I tried being a swimmer and going to sports, was like not that great at sports. And I found the theater because I loved being able to be someone I wasn't. Like the artist world was an escape for me. And I became kind of a thespian, like junior, senior year. It's really when I found kind of my people. And I happened to be pretty good at acting, being dramatic, because there were
embodied emotional expression.
Absolutely, because I had so much of it at like home that I needed to get out. And my dad wanted me to go to like some regular school and go through a regular program and get he wanted me to like be a speech pathologist, and I wanted to be an actress. And I got into one of the most competitive acting departments in the country. They accepted 12 people, my first year of college, and graduated with 7 people out of senior year of a conservatory acting program, and made acting my career for the first few years out of college. But I mean, I wouldn't say that the woman that you described, like, thank you for saying all that you did at the beginning, because as you were speaking, I was like, take this in. This is who you are. Because I'm not so humble that I don't know that I've got talent and I've done really great things with my life, but there's still that little girl in me, if I'm going to be honest, that is like, but am I cool? Am I successful? Do I deserve this? Like, do women want to be friends with me? Like,
I
it's
so
real.
appreciate that honesty, because I don't think there's a person on the planet who doesn't feel that way. And if they say that they don't, then there's something that might be amiss, because something that you talk about in your new book that's coming out, The Light Work, is that we hold both sides. This is something that I talk about a lot. We don't live a one-sided existence.
No.
And so there is always going to be the confident part of you, and then there's going to be the part of you that questions that confidence.
Yes.
And it all comes from somewhere. You talk a lot about remembering, right? Remembering how powerful we are.
Yes.
And, Soul Sway, my movement practice that I just launched, like our mission statement is to help people remember how powerful they are. But the reason that we need mission statements like that, the reason that is so foundational to the light work, is because we don't remember.
Yes.
We don't.
We've forgotten.
We are spiritual beings having a human experience. And that human experience, that animalistic experience, is so rooted. Our nervous systems are so rooted in where is predator, where is prey? How can I get towards what I want and away from what I don't want?
Yes.
And so there is a real onus on us, and again, thank you for this book, because there's an onus on us to do the work.
Yes.
To remember that we are bodies of light.
Yes.
Right?
That's why I called it The Light Work.
Absolutely.
Because it takes
and
work.
To go back to this concept of being an introvert who plays an extrovert. I really love that nugget, right? Because we do live in a world right now that is so much about the external gaze, right? And this podcast really being about focusing on where are we letting the external gaze shape us, and where are we allowing the internal gaze to be what guides us. And I know between that 9 and 22-year-old phase, right? And then even maybe beyond that, I know you've referred to yourself in the past as at one point being a hot mess. I remember you using that phrase with me when we first met. And
good memory.
And how your mess has become your message.
Absolutely.
And so I want to hear a little bit more retrospectively about how that came to be. Like if you were able to talk somebody through how your mess can become your message, even just through the lens of your own personal experience, what would you say?
Yeah. I mean, when I graduated college, I went into the acting world. I'm sure you're going to relate, a lot of people listening. Like, it was such a tender time to be a young woman, 22 years old, who'd graduated from college, didn't gain the freshman 15, gained the 30 that didn't leave, wanted to be an actress. Everyone told me left, right, and center to get skinny. I went through about 7 years of body dysmorphia, true abuse on my body. Then when that calmed down, I contracted an autoimmune disorder, so from stress. Meanwhile, I'm struggling and strifing through my acting days, trying to make it as an actress, which really meant I was just waitressing and temp jobbing and nannying and doing all the things to hustle. Fell in love with a man 14 years older than me, who I was with for 5 years, shattered my heart. At the end of that breakup, it was the most traumatic thing. Then I started my first business, which is an online magazine for women, blew up to the biggest platform for women in the Midwest. Didn't know a thing about business, but had a really good idea that hit. Had a toxic business partner in that relationship. The whole thing ended 7 years later, leaving me financially destitute with $75,000 worth of credit card debt. It was at 33 when I looked around my life. I'd broken up with the guy and met my boyfriend, who's now my husband at the time. Certain things had aligned, but I was totally unintegrated and didn't really have that internal gaze. And that's really when it started, my spiritual journey. I mean, I've always been connected since I was little. I was born and raised Jewish, but I found my grandmother's angel spirit in a church in Ireland at 19. I've been on the path for a long, long time. But that really was a rock bottom for me when I was toxic, sick, broke, miserable, victim. And thinking it was everyone else's fault for my life circumstances. And I started to do some real personal development work and really look at myself and my side of the street. And it just so happened that right around that time, because I never stop, I guess, I decided to launch a new business because the magazine had fallen apart. I got this little idea to name my agency the Simply Be Agency. It was a one-woman consultancy. And I had learned a lot running my magazine. I knew a lot about marketing, branding, messaging, social, etc. Like, okay, I have these hard skills, but I'm becoming this new version of myself. So why don't I merge those two and really start to make the mess the message? And that's when everything started to expand. That's when I found my purpose. And the business Simply Be, which you were a client of, exploded, like just took off from day one. Because I was so clear on the power of my own authenticity, that I wanted to allow other people to do the same and be their guide, to be their teacher, to be their strategist. And it just kept growing and growing and growing and growing. And I mean, there's another side to the last few years of Simply Be that led me to the light work and everything that I'm doing now, because the work is never done. And sometimes we have to learn those same lessons over and over and over again. But I love what you said just now, something about like the polarity, the duality of the human experience. I say that my book is called The Light Work, but it's actually a book about the dark. Each chapter is a journey into the darkest moments and the deepest pain and trauma and grief and shame that I've had in my life across every area of my life. And I know that I'm just one woman out of millions who've experienced these specific traumas, just different circumstances, as an invitation to remember who they are by facing the dark, because that's where you find your truth. That's where you find your power.
And that's where you find your light.
And
because
that's where you find your light.
Everything is equilibrated, right?
Yes.
Everything in life is equilibrated. You know, you can't separate two sides of a magnet. For day there's night, for up there's down.
As above, so below.
And equal distance. Like people, scientifically, it's equilibrated. Everything in life is equilibrated. Which is why we have tsunamis. As far back as the ocean goes, as far forward as it's going to come.
Yeah.
Like everything is actually scientifically balanced. And so as dark as you go is as light as you go. And if you want to get to the, furthest point of potential in the light, you've got to dive deep as far as possible in the opposite direction to the dark.
Yes. I really truly love that. And I feel like that's such a code of Gaia.
It's an algorithm.
Yeah, it is.
Like everything in life, it seems to be these days, an algorithm.
Yeah.
And
that's what I hope this book allows women to step forward into just a little bit more fearlessly, a little bit more honestly, to just really look at their shadow, their shit.
Yeah.
And the deeper that you go in, the more joy, the more capacity you have to hold the light. And I think we've been really conditioned on this planet to think that, to shine too bright is too much, to go down is too scary.
Yeah.
And it's like a true amnesia trip.
Yeah.
Being human.
Yeah.
And I love that you keep bringing up this word remember.
Yeah.
Because to me, that's it. Like we hear a lot about spiritual awakening. Like I'm here for your spiritual remembrance. Like you need to remember first before you can awaken to whatever it is you're here to do. You have to remember who you're here to be. And that was something that I had forgotten even through the years of Simply Be up until the last few years. And literally my whole life, somebody asked me earlier today, like, how are you? I'm like, I'm the best I've ever been in my life.
And don't you love being able to answer that way?
Yeah.
There's a freedom in that.
There's a freedom and there's so much gratitude in it.
Sure.
And it's like, I remembered, that's why.
Well, I love that you used the word capacity, right? Because in the world of somatics, what we are building is our capacity to experience all of these sensations,
Yes.
right? All of these emotions, all of these awarenesses, and to recognize our own resilience inside of the space of the capacity that we can hold, right?
Amen, girl.
And with ourselves first, and then with others. And I know your book sort of takes that structure of like internal and then external and then legacy, right?
Yeah.
And I love that you dialed in on that word capacity, because I really do believe that is a huge part of the human experience is continuing to build our capacity and our ability to be resilient. And that is something that's never done. And
Never done.
And I really appreciate that you continue to call that out, that you're not like, I am Buddha on the mountaintop sitting in mudra all day. Just check me out, people. There's so much to learn from me.
Never.
Right? Because it's such bullshit.
It is bullshit.
And, look, I've done a lot of work.
I know you have.
For a long fucking time. And that doesn't mean that there isn't a day that I get up and I have to face the dark and I have to face a struggle and I've got to use my tools. And sometimes the tools don't fucking work.
Yep.
And then you're on a search, but it is about doing the light work, making it a practice, making it a daily commitment to building that capacity.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that you said that. I mean, I had so many different titles for the book. I wanted the word light to be in it. I couldn't believe there wasn't a book on the market called The Light Work already, but because we hear the term light worker
absolutely
everywhere we go.
Sure.
And I was like, live your light, be the light. And I was like, no, like the light work, like there has to be the polarity. The operative word is work. Like it takes work to be the light.
Yes, it's where the energy meets matter.
Correct.
Where the rubber meets the road, whatever you want to say.
No, exactly.
Right? But it's like my grandmother always used to say to me, you're never going to meet anybody behind a locked door, and or my coach would say to me, you can't sit in your bed all day meditating. You actually have to go out
and the world
and take action.
Yes.
Right. Aligned action to
Yes.
what you're quote unquote manifesting.
Right.
But for me as a body person, like a deep body person, right? I go back to this idea of our soul is our why and our body is our how.
Yes.
Right? So how do those two form a perfect union to go create your reality? You and I were joking before we started rolling about how we create our reality, even just in the words that we speak.
Absolutely.
Right? But that's an embodied practice. What are you saying? What are you actually speaking?
Yes.
Abracadabra, by the way, is...
I love that word.
Yeah. It's because I speak it into existence.
And so it is.
Right?
Yes.
It's not just this magical spell. It's a creation of the magic of your life.
Yes. And the power of your thoughts.
Absolutely.
And, I talk about the Pleiadians in my book, which are my homies, my extraterrestrial star family.
Yep.
And I got really into their work a couple years ago when I was told by a healer that I am a Pleiadian. I was like, what's a Pleiadian? What does this mean? This sounds weird. And then I just trusted in my body that she was accurate. And it sent me on this deep, deep path of learning them, studying them, communing with them, communicating with them. And there's so many teachings from their work. Like it's really dense, it's really rich, it's profound. And what I've done with the light work is taken pieces of their teachings and incorporated it into each chapter so that the everyday woman who's never even heard of a Pleiadian doesn't even believe in it. It's fine. I don't need you to. I'm not asking you to believe in anything that doesn't resonate. It's really here as a tool to just deepen your own sense of self and to understand light as how I define it as the author. But one of their core principles can tap into the greater field of consciousness. Our thoughts create our emotions. Our emotions are our biggest gift as the human species. We have the full range of emotion. We can literally change the energetic frequencies of our bodies with feeling. And it all starts in the mind. And simply just practicing, harnessing, being aware of, like I've been saying, like, frankly, I've got a lot of big dreams about my book. And I'm saying to my friends, like, I think my book's going to be really big. I'm like, no, I know my book's going to be really big.
There you go.
You know, just like catching myself.
That's it. That's like what I was saying to you earlier about my health diagnosis.
I loved it.
I'm declaring that I am healthy and I will remain healthy.
Yes.
I'm declaring it.
And it's true. And that is what the reality that you step into and co-create. You're not praying for it. You're not asking for it, wishing for it, hoping for it. You're deciding that it's already done.
That's it. That's it.
It's done.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny, not to like derail on that, but I was listening to something the other day, probably on Instagram, because where else would I hear anything anymore?
Same.
And it was because I'm a cancer survivor. It was another cancer patient who was talking about the energy work around cancer and healing, and saying that his approach was to love his cancer.
Yeah.
And what I also found so interesting was somebody telling him, if you love the cancer, it will stay. If you set a healthy boundary with the cancer, it will go.
Interesting. Wow. Beautiful.
And I was like, wow, that slammed me like a truck. Like, yeah, why would that be any different? Right? Because what we say creates our reality.
Yes.
Right? If I love my cancer, I'm creating an environment for it to grow and be nurtured in.
Yeah.
But if I set a healthy boundary with it,
Yes.
and I say, actually, you're not welcome here.
Yes. Dude, I'm obsessed with that. I have a chapter in my book called Body, Your Sacred Vessel, right? And I tell the story of my body dysmorphia and my addiction to diet books and Soul Cycle and, you know, Barry's boot camp and marathon running and getting so skinny I didn't get my period for 2 years. Then I healed from that. And then I got an autoimmune disorder, and Western medicine kept giving me drugs and feeding me steroids and antibiotics. Said not a word about diet, sleep, meditation, like green juice, hydration, sunshine. I had to become my own physical healer. And I say in the book, I'm like, but I'm not here to talk about calories, and I'm not here to trash Western medicine. I don't give a fuck how your genes fit. I'm here to remind you that your body is a sacred technology.
Yeah.
It is light encoded filaments inside of our DNA that have been dormant,
Yep.
right? There's no such thing as junk DNA. It's just been deprogrammed to be sleeping so that we stay numb and sick and in fear so we can be controlled. It's another conversation. And the exercise that I have in that chapter is like, when was the last time you talked to your body?
Yeah.
When was the last time you like asked her to talk to you?
Yeah.
When was the last time you took a moment to truly listen? And what you just shared about the true conversation that woman, whoever you saw on Instagram, is either loving the body for what it's doing well, setting boundaries and protecting yourself from what it's not doing right. We are so powerful.
We're so powerful. And it's funny because I am somebody that talks to my body every day. I know most people don't.
Well, you're you.
I
And
know
you're a
most people
teacher.
don't. But even with the wisdom that I have about, I have a very deep relationship with my body. And it didn't even dawn on me about setting that particular healthy boundary around disease.
Wow.
And that was like
It's beautiful.
you know, and it again, it goes back to like, I could be the most remarkable teacher on the planet. There's still so much to learn.
We're all
There's still so
students.
many aha moments to be had, right?
Yeah.
Okay, well, coming off of that little derail.
Not
and
a derail, it's perfect.
Coming back in. I would love to get a sense of like, in the present moment, right? Your mess had become your message, and you had built this insanely successful, profitable. And when I say successful, I don't even necessarily mean profitable. I said profitable separately because I feel like this business was really so much more in terms of success than just profitable. I
Yes.
think it was like you were talking about, it was your purpose, and
Yes.
you cultivated a beautiful team and a community of people, and a book came out of it that helped so many people with building their businesses and their confidence around it and all of these things, and doing it more authentically. There was so much beauty that came out of that.
Thank you.
But then you sold it.
I did.
Walk us through that.
So we're going to be real
Yeah, let's get, I mean, I don't know another way to be. So I'm
Same.
allergic to anything that's not the truth.
Allergic
so.
is the perfect word. So yes, I hit it. Like Simply Be popped. I was like so aligned online on purpose. The business started scaling. Like I went from, I had $1 million in like less than a year. Like it was crazy. And then just kept growing. And then 5 people became 12 people, became 30 people at my peak, serving hundreds of clients across the world. Got a massive book deal, hit #1. I was winning awards. I was on all the stages, doing all the speaking engagements, so much press, huge community started to build. And the world was telling me like I was winning, right? Mm-hmm. And here's an important pivot point to go back to.
Please.
When I became financially destitute, when my first business left me in all that debt. And I had to ask my parents to help me pay my phone bill at 33, which is like where my first book starts. And then I started making all this fucking money a few years later. I was never fully in abundance. I was running from scarcity. I was running from the feeling of dying and going broke again the whole time. Mm-hmm. And the bigger the business got, the bigger the commitment got, the bigger the payroll got, the bigger my ability and need to rainmake got. And I was really in a place where I felt like even, I wouldn't say this back then, but looking back on my past version of myself, like there was a part of me that had a lot to prove. It like came down to my childhood trauma with my dad, like my ex-business partner from my first business, like never being the cool girl. Like there was this unintegrated part of me that is successful and genuine and as authentic as I was unconscious too. And I found myself in 2022, so exactly 1 year after the book launch, like if I call building that business like climbing a mountain.
Yeah.
Because it really was. It was like a freaking hockey stick, that company. And there I was at like the mountain summit the year my book was about to launch. My book was a huge book because to launch a book at scale, you as the author have to put everything into your launch. But my business was also something I needed to do. Podcasts, I was on for 100 hours a week for a year, took no breaks, sprinted at the summit. Like you'd think you'd pace yourself at the summit.
Yeah.
I sprinted at the summit. And by the end of that year, the beginning of 22, I reached full burnout.
Yeah.
Not like, oh, I'm tired, I'm burnt out. Like physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, creatively.
Your motherboard was just fried.
Completely. I've literally used that as a metaphor.
Yeah.
The motherboard.
Yeah, just collapsed.
And I couldn't leave the house. I had no energy to shower. I wore like the same sweatshirt and sweatpants for like weeks. Cried every day. Just kept telling myself, I'm just tired. God, I'm tired. I'm exceptionally tired. And my therapist, who's amazing, who I was seeing regularly, in the beginning of January, she diagnosed me with depression. And I just let that diagnosis like unravel me, like be the like permission I needed to just fucking die.
Yeah.
And let it all go down, like let myself go down into like the depths of it. And to make a long story short, 22 didn't get that much better. Hamster wheel of hustle, toxic masculine paradigm, like the patriarchally internalized desire to win, make money, succeed, grow, be successful. Look at me, boss babe.
Yeah.
And I went to Egypt at the end of 22, which is where my book starts as well, and this book. And I died in Egypt. I had a full-on identity death. Got all of these messages from galactic beings, goddesses. They were all like, girl, you've so missed the point of this whole game called the human experience, which is to have fun. Like, don't take it so seriously.
Yeah.
23 was the year I decided that I was going to unhook myself from that. My word for the year was joy. I healed my nervous system. I put some people in place to help me run the business so I could get out of it. Had the resources to bring in some really great people. And I got this second book deal, channeled this book in 3.5 months, decided to host a retreat for fun, and it sold out. And then that just continued to expand this whole like side hustle thing called coaching, which was so abundant and so fun and nourishing and aligned. Doesn't even feel like work.
Don't I know it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then middle of 23, I got a knock on the door from Hawk Media who wanted to buy my company. And I was like, I'm ready. It's aligned.
Yeah.
The timing is divine. And you know, it's a big thing to go through. It's a stressful thing to go through to sell your business. But a couple things had happened. Like I was ready mentally to sell it. Like I really started to shape with this book, frankly, and the retreats and the coaching clients, like what I would do next. I like had the vision, but the business was an asset. Like it didn't need me anymore.
Yeah.
And that's really an important message I have to founders. Like if you are ready to sell your business, one, are you not only ready to like be done, but actually fully let go of control? That's hard. That's come this year, but I'm on the other side of that. And can the business, is it a lifestyle business or is it a true asset? And I had really, after 7 years, built an asset. And I didn't want to run an agency anymore. I was just really clear about that. And so I'm on the other side of it now. And I just feel so light. Like I'm here on time, doing what I'm meant to be doing and saying what I'm meant to be saying. And
there's something that I want to highlight for anybody that's listening or watching this right now. There's actually, did I say two things? Because it's two things that I want to highlight. One is, and somebody used to say this to me all the time in a mentor group that I was part of one time, and that was, what if it was fun and easy?
yeah.
That was the tagline when somebody said, whoa, yeah, but I've got to do this, or how can I do that? I don't know, but what if it was fun and easy?
Freaking love. Yes.
And that sort of became a mantra in that group of every time somebody forgot to tag that on the end of their sentence or on the end of their question, we would get called out, right?
It's so genius.
The other thing that I wanted to point out was for anybody that is stuck in the mud and their wheels are spinning and the car's not going anywhere because they're stuck in the mud. You're not actually stuck. And as I'm listening to your story, I know where it's going.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's like at any one of those moments in time, that burnout and I'm crying every day and I haven't showered and I'm in the same sweatpants and, you know, all of those things. It's like at that moment, you could have thought, well, this is it.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yes.
And, or the moment that you had a funeral for your old identity and it being scary to create a new identity and it being very, you know, scary in that like we're very uncomfortable things that are unfamiliar. Again, talking about building our capacity, right? But, you know, that's another moment. There's another moment when you're calling and you're like, I can't pay my phone bill. That's another, right? All of these moments stacking on top of each other. And any one of those moments you could think like, oh, well, that's it, right? That's it for me. And at the end of all of it, here we are selling our company, you know, for multiple 7 figures, having built an asset, getting to then step into, rather than being afraid of, but being ready to have a lot of fun with where I'm going next as a result of all of it.
Yes.
It's like you can look at that any which way you want at any given time. And I just want to give permission to anybody out there that's feeling stuck in the mud to know that it's you're building towards something, and you just like she's saying she's right on time now. She was right on time the whole time.
Absolutely.
And she knows it.
Yeah.
And so I'm saying it to you too, right? Like that's a really important takeaway.
I love that you shared that. I was literally with my friend yesterday who's going through a death portal. She wants to sell her business. She's miserable. She can't talk a normal sentence without literally tears. She could be talking about the weather and she's raw as hell. And she's asked me the question, like, what do I have to look forward to? When is this going to be over? I'm like, you're right where you're supposed to be. You don't want to hear that right now. This is not a station. It's a part of the journey. just hold on to it.
And as dark as you go is as light as you
will
go.
go.
So what, you can't have a one-sided experience.
Right. Exactly to your point.
Yeah.
And
Good for you
Thank you.
for being her beacon of light and her, you know, women supporting women #person, because it's so necessary. And, you know, even to harken back to you saying the girls were even meaner than the boys growing up. I mean, I'm not going to sideswipe to that or double click on that in this moment, but it is something that I really resonate with.
it's real.
And it's not just happening to little girls, you know, in cafeterias and on bleachers. It is happening to grown-ass women. So good for you for, you know, stepping up and actually being that woman who's going to lift another woman up and not celebrate her misery.
Absolutely. No, that's so old paradigm.
It is. It really is. And it is something that really tugs on my heartstrings these days, is seeing how prevalent it is, that patriarchal divide and conquer of the feminine culture.
Correct.
But
I have a whole chapter about that in my book called Female Friendships.
Yep.
The greatest medicine of them all.
I love it.
Because when we come together, and we don't have to be friends with every woman on the planet, but to simply recognize that every other woman on the planet is you, because we're women. We're all daughters of Gaia, making us fucking sisters.
Yeah.
Like when a woman walks into a room or a restaurant that is beautiful or is wearing something you would never wear, like watch yourself. Like, can you see the other woman as you? Mm-hmm. Can you recognize that her desire and longing to feel beautiful, to be seen, to feel special, to feel included, and her expression of how she shows up in the world mirrors your desire for longing and for expression and for love and for belonging too?
Yeah.
There's such a women empowerment talk, but to like really walk it requires us to really look at our own shadows around women, competition, comparison, gossip. We've all been perpetrators of it, and we've also been victims of it.
100%.
And I really think, like with my work now, like what I'm up to in the world with my retreats and my programs and my coaching clients and my book, what I got in Egypt, the Pleiadians, they told me literally verbatim that the feminine frequency is returning. It is our job as women to be the leaders of healing the planet through the feminine. And the way that we do that is by coming together as women and leading a new earth. And we have to be partners in that. We have to be sisters in that. There's nothing more healing than that.
Nothing.
It's
I
our
couldn't agree
literal
more.
job. It's like why we were incarnated here in this generation as female bodies, to like turn the planet with men too. We need the divine masculine.
Partnership.
We gotta bring
Yes.
them to the table. We need
Partnership
that yin
model.
yang. But God, have we been so duped as women here to think we have to compete, to think that we're inferior, to think that we are second in class. No, we actually used to lead the whole fucking planet.
We were once a matriarchal culture, goddess culture.
For eons.
Yes, we were.
For eons.
We really were. And, you know, it's definitely, to your point, down to us to make that shift. And the only way to do it is by first calling it out.
Yeah.
You know, awareness is the superpower that is going to allow us to be able to take action to do anything different, right? Without awareness, we're all fumbling in the dark.
Correct.
For sure.
And then when you heal that, it heals the world. Like you have to do your own light work.
That's it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I want to turn the lens forward.
Okay.
What do you see down the horizon line? Like when you know, we've looked back on the timeline, we've stood in the present on the timeline, like as we face forward on the timeline and we look at the horizon, what's there?
You know, it's so funny, Alexis, I haven't been asked this question, and I'm so in the now. See, like what my watch says? It says now.
I love that. Come on.
But I want to answer this question.
I hope it doesn't even work. I hope it doesn't even have time handles on it.
It literally says now.
I'm obsessed.
It's one of the coolest things I've ever owned. And it says on the back, time and present are an illusion in the mind. I am now.
Okay, I'm going to get the information
Shout out to the brand House of Now. She's actually my client. It
House
has
of
feathers
Now.
on it, which is my
Let's
totem.
go. House of Now.
Yeah, at the
I
House
want
of Now
one.
on Instagram.
I'm going to be getting one.
They come in all different colors.
God bless.
They're beautiful. So I've been very much dedicated to the present, but like really, if I really think about what's in the future I love writing books. I'm an author. I'm a writer. That's my business, strategy, marketing, social media. Like I live to write. AI scares me. It's great, but I'm like, I want to write so many books. I want to really be in sacred space with women, create more conscious events, sisterhood retreats. I'm building a house in the woods, like I said. I want to have multiple dogs. I want, like, I'm here in the season, I'm in my early 40s. I know I'm on purpose. I really do love the internet in a lot of ways. Like I'm super comfortable on Instagram and growing my community there and podcasting and all the things. But in the next decade, I really see myself living a slow life and writing my books from my house and impacting the world through my work, like my art, and creating community just very intentionally, not needing to necessarily play the game that we all have to play to some degree, which I don't always despise. I actually do thrive in it. But I really want to be next to Gaia with my animals in sacred, conscious space and making art. Truly, that's what I want.
Me too. I'm convinced that's what I want too now.
That's like all I see.
I just really went there with you. I was like, yes, yes, please.
Yeah.
I'll have what she's having.
With like cacao, crystals,
Let's go.
hot coffee in the morning, birds
Y'all,
chirping.
I'm moving to Nashville. I'm moving in with Jessica.
Come on in. I have plenty of room for you.
Okay. Well, then we're going to just close it out by me asking you the question that I ask everybody. And I swore I was going to bring a mirror in this season and rats next time. Okay. I want you to imagine that you're holding a mirror up to yourself and you're looking in that mirror and you get a moment to reflect to yourself. Look at me now. Look at what I've overcome.
Yeah.
Look at what I've created. Look at who I am. I don't care what anyone outside of me has to say about who I am, how I did it, why I did it, what I didn't do enough of, whatever, right? But from that place of resilience, that place of acknowledgement and validation and self-reflection and self-awareness and self-appreciation and self-agency, what do you say to that woman, that Jessica that is you, and all the Jessicas that you've been up until this moment have to say reflected to you? You did what you came here to do, and you were so brave. I don't even know how to end, because that was just like, I think we just need to cry our way out.
We just might.
I think we might need to cry our way out.
That was a beautiful question. Thank you.
Yeah. Well,
Thank you.
We all need those moments, people. We all need those moments when we sit back and we go in to the wisest one of them all, which lives inside of each of us. And we say, I get to be proud of you. I get to recognize you. I get to see everything that you have been through and everything that you are and everything that you are becoming. And you are enough and there is enough, and let's fucking go.
Let's fucking go.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. This was so much fun.
All right, y'all. That's another episode of Look at Me Now in the books. And I can't wait for you all to hear it. I'm like, can this go out now, even though
I know that feeling.
we're recording it?
Right.
Okay. Where can people find you? How can they get your book? I mean, I want everybody to know everything.
So the book can be found. The best place to go buy the book is thelightworkbook.com. So the title of the book is The Lightwork, thelightworkbook.com. That's also where you'll find my website, jessicazweig.com is all the things I do, retreats, coaching, and then come find me on Instagram and say hi at Jessica Zweig. I spend most of my time there and would just love to meet your community because like attracts like, and I'm sure your people are beautiful like you, and come say hi.
Absolutely. I mean, y'all, that's a no-brainer. I already have the book because I got a copy, a galley copy for our podcast here, but I'm just going to go pre-order it too because I want all the goodies.
You should. Please do.
Yeah.
It's
anything to support.
You're
Let's
so
go.
sweet. I'm so excited about it.
Yeah.
The light work, it's the last thing I'll say. It's called The Light Work. Reclaim your feminine power, live your cosmic truth, and illuminate the world. I love my subtitle. It is perfect. I had originally titled it An Invitation to Unlock Your Infinite Power and Remember Who You Really Are. My publisher thought it was a little too passive because he's like, this book is more than an invitation. It's like an Indiana Jones movie. Like it grabs you from the second you pick it up.
I love that comparison.
It's really, he did. But just to bring it home, it is really truly a key. That's why there's a key on the cover to help you unlock that remembrance.
Run, don't walk, people. Run, don't walk. Get those fingers typing. Get in there.
Thank
Get
you.
in there.
Appreciate you. Love you. Thank
Love you. All right, y'all. Join us for Look at Me Now, wherever you listen to podcasts. And be sure to share, like, and subscribe.